Okay, so we're out here in Berryessa Lake, right?
Lake Berryessa.
Lake Berryessa, first time for me. So guys, say hello. These are all my friends here. We're just gonna take a shot of the walking around the, what do you call it, like a hiking trail, yeah. So there has been, this is where there's been wildfires. I saw a few helicopters, but it looks like today is okay. There's no fire, so I think we'll be safe. Are we gonna be safe?
I hope.
As long as we stretch.
We have to stretch.
Yeah, we gotta stretch.
All right, so I'm gonna just take shots of our trail and also what we're gonna do at the end of the trail.
There's a loop, and so we'll either come down the stairs or come this way.
So we're figuring out where to go.
Okay, I'm done with right this. Last time I did the Blue Ridge and
Yeah, it's fine.
We're going to Homestead. So I haven't hiked for years, so this is gonna require a lot of stamina. How do you guys keep up, dude?
Oh yeah, if I should play soccer.
Oh yeah, you're already stamina high.
Yeah.
Help, protect, reserve. You can donate money, guys.
And I'm feeling
All right, so
sorry, you're killing the vibe, dude.
I'm sorry.
Picture time.
No, I'm just taking a quick shot here. We just got up on top of the mountain. We are on top of the world, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby.
Baby.
Actually, I'm very tired. I walked.
You said you were energized like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, I guess I was energized. But when I walked another 3 steps, I was tired again.
Rock.
So we're just chilling right now here.
Worship that stick.
Our new wonderful friend Gilbert is gonna read us something awesome. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Throughout California, the time between the making of the world and the creation of present-day people was viewed as a separate epoch. This is around the time when native California Indians walked around here. So, a race, they would say that a race of creator beings, often much like ordinary people but possessed in exceptional powers, lived in the world and partook in momentous events: the adjustment of the sun and moon, the molding of the landscape, the rescue of deer, salmon, fire, and other valuables from evil captors, the establishment of all human rituals, clans, and institutions. At the end of this epoch, the race of creator beings either withdrew from the world or became transformed into present-day animals, plants, or geographic entities. And that's pretty much it. What do you guys think about that? What's your thought?
My thought? You go first. What are your thoughts? Why did you share that?
I think it's pretty cool because it shows like the aliveness of things and how everything like has you know, its own entity, like energy flow.
True.
So if you say, I hate this mountain I'm walking on, the mountain's not gonna like that.
Okay, so let's quickly talk about this before we go down. So the training looks like this. This was developed in Colombia in 1970s. The reason why this started was because someone who was doing the same stuff was trying to learn about development, like developing communities. So he went to Colombia and noticed that education was very scarce for a lot of the Colombian children who needed money, and the transportation sucked. So he put together this institute. This is actually a project that was from within the community. It wasn't from one guy having all these ideas. So it's called Reflections on the Life of the Spirit. It's a Ruhi Institute, and this is the first book of 7 books. It's about building capacity to serve community. Yeah, so again, quickly, development was viewed as a up-down approach, which means that people who had been educated from like really good institutions like UC Berkeley or any universities, they were like, hey, you know, these people who don't have there's underdeveloped places, they need to be developed. They thought of providing service in a package way, you know what I mean? Like, hey, you don't have this, we'll give it to you. But it was like very much of a materialistic outlook to development, you know, so it didn't have a long-term effect. Whereas this institute, what it sees in human beings is the potential that we all have to change the world, and that just needs to be tapped. It needs to be brought to life. This does not just look at education in terms of academic, but it's mostly like a spiritual side, you know,
yeah.
like developing the soul kind of thing. This has a long-term effect where individuals from communities who don't have education necessarily can be empowered to make difference. They don't need to go to like an institution like school to do that, you know. A lot of times that's actually that's a barrier. I think having a high degree doesn't really do much. You know, that's really more centered towards making money and
whatever you want to focus on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Money does not make development. That's the other way around. It's human beings developing within themselves and communities.
Yeah.
That changes the world. You know?
Real value.
Yeah. So like, imagine practicing service to mankind. Who does that, you know? Imagine taking the concept of oneness and living by those words. Oneness of humanity, oneness of God, oneness of religion. That is what's going to change the world. These trainings are inspired by the Baha'i writings. Baha'u'llah brought us prescription, just like Jesus brought us prescription for 2,000 years ago. Muhammad for Islam brought it for 1,500 years ago. Baha'u'llah brought it only 200 years ago for today and for 1,000 years to go. And so, you know, religion is progressive in that way. It's actually supposed to be, you know, complementing each other and moving forward according to the time. Can you read the purpose?
To develop the capacity to read the Baha'i writings and to meditate on their meaning in order to fulfill the obligations of studying the writings every day.
So like, for example, let's read the first one. It says, can you read that?
Yeah. The betterment of the world can be accomplished through pure and goodly deeds, through commendable and seemly conduct.
How can you see the benefit of this quote read every day, or like even all of them, not just this one, but just in general?
Keeps reminding you, and then eventually you do it, and then eventually other people do it, and it just comes like a chain reaction kind of
Sure.
Nice, yeah, I like that chain reaction metaphor.
Some people might wonder, like, do you have to be Baha'i to do this training? You don't, you know? I mean, the central teachings of the Baha'i faith is oneness of humanity.
It's like really broad. It's not like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
broad.
everyone should feel welcome to join. You know, like, we're not saying don't become a Baha'i. That's not the point, you know? The point also isn't to make you a Baha'i. The point is, like, let's all work together. And if you're attracted, if you identify, sure, you can be a Baha'i. That's fine. I mean, it's, you know, because, like, I don't think that you need to be a Baha'i to apply these teachings to change the world. That will stop change, you know, if we had to do it that way.
Yeah.
The point of this is to build capacity to serve communities, and we should organize time and day to do it regularly.
Your introduction to like where it came from was really helpful for me. I don't think I'd ever put all that together. But one thing that I really like is he talks about that there's 7 books. One of them is like you explore certain spiritual topics and think about them very deeply. And the other part of it, thinking collectively, how do we apply this in our communities?
In a real life, okay.
And so it's cool because each one develops a certain capacity. You talk about certain themes, like this one you talk about reading the writings, and then you talk about prayer, and you talk about life and death, and like the progress of your soul.
Yeah, those are the 3 units.
That's right. In this
Right.
particular book.
So if you like the concept of what does the soul mean, let's explore together. That's just what we do here. And then why prayer, we can discuss it together. And why should we think about life and death? Why? We could talk about it together as a community, you know?
So our convo began like talking about community building weeks ago, right? How is exploring those ideas gonna help us directly to actually working with our communities and making them better?
Maybe we can take just one of them, like prayer. Why is it helpful to study and understand prayer in terms of building strengthening or building vibrant communities?
It restores a lot of faith in the community for like
hope.
Yeah, I never thought about that. For me, like one of the reasons I really like thinking about prayer in this context is that it takes so much strength to see how the world is and to be able to imagine, like you're talking about, to have this hope. And also, like, in order to make these changes, it requires power. It requires strength. And what greater power is there than God? Like, that's the ultimate power.
Yeah.
And the way that we, as feeble little beings that we are, the way we connect with that is through prayer. This is drawing on God's power through prayer makes us more potent instruments in changing the world.
It inspires
me
like
is what-
divine assistance. It inspires
Divine,
spiritual beings to assist us in our way. And like we can defeat the strongest and hardest obstacle we could face.
Yeah.
You know? We can defeat it. So like people might say, oh, there's too much disunity. We can't change that. But no, if we pray together, if we strengthen devotional life of the community, we can withstand those veils, those barriers to progress. Any other thoughts before we walk back?
Yeah, well, just one other thing. The part about life and the life of the soul and that kind of stuff. I guess, I don't know, that also I'd be interested to hear you guys' thoughts. Like, because this is the first thing. And I'm sure you guys have talked about like the junior youth program, and it's a mentorship program for youth. And so that's the 5th book in this series, is where you really start getting into that. And the 3rd book in this series, you start getting into teaching, younger children. And so each of the books has a spiritual theme you explore, like education is the theme of those 2 books, and then also a practice. This one, the practice is to pray together. Those ones, the practice is to educate children. Why would we do this first? To like try and analyze, here's this institute that put things in order very intentionally, and why would we put the study of the soul and the study of prayer and like reading the writings, why would we make that the first thing that we do?
I feel like you can't really help someone else if you aren't at your like highest potential. If you're trying to help someone, well, you're not really going to help them if you're not prepared. If you yourself still have a lot of stuff going through, or don't understand, or you know what I mean, or haven't done your research. So I feel like knowing yourself, I think that we all kind of go through the same things. It's just different little ways, but we all feel anger, loss, sadness, happiness. Thinking about that in our personal lives, and then reflecting, and then being able to help someone else would make it much better, as if we don't really know about ourselves that much.
Totally.
If that makes sense.
You reminded me, somewhere I've seen talks about that the whole series, all 7 of them. The phrase that it's helping us to explore is, I walk a path of service. Some of them focus on like, what is the path of service look like? And some of them kind of help us to explore, what does it mean to walk a path? But then this one helps us to explore what you already said, like who am I? What is the I part of
your
I walk
purpose?
this path
Yeah.
of service?
And then there is actually the new book that just came out, book 10. And I just did the first unit, and you did the first unit. In the first unit, it talks about we. So the first 1 to 7 is about the I, okay, understanding the soul, the individual soul. And then we start thinking about we, community. What are we? What's the identity of a community? Just like cells of a human body,
Yeah, come together and just make us.
I'm feeling
And a race of creators, they would think
What
that
are you guys doing?
I'm trying to listen to Hilbert.
Sorry. So today I'm going to downtown Davis, and I'm going to ask people some questions. Hope you like it.